So most people think making over $300,000 per month is impossible, but I am here to tell you that it's not. Because just a few years ago, I was starting from zero with no audience, no products, no nothing. But by changing the way that I think and the approach I have in my business, I was able to scale to over $300,000 per month. And so in this video, I'm going to share the unusual mindset shifts that most people ignore, but were key for me to taking me from zero to over $300,000 per month. And these are things you won't hear in typical business advice videos. So mindset shift number one I want to talk about is to stop setting goals and doing something else instead. Because everyone talks about goal setting, but the truth is this: obsessing over goals actually held me back. And instead, I focused on building systems and habits that made success basically inevitable. And how I did this was, first of all, to forget about my goals and instead start building daily non-negotiables. So for example, I go to bed at 10 p.m. every single night, and then I wake up at around 6:30 to 7 a.m. That's a non-negotiable for me because I know that energy is basically everything. All that we have and all that we need to create stuff is energy. So the better sleep that I have, the better I will feel. Another non-negotiable that I have is to clean up my diet, clean up my food, eat around 2,000 calories per day. I can track it. I have my meal boxes. They're getting delivered every single day. I know exactly how much I'm eating. Again, I'm optimizing my energy so that I actually can do creative stuff that actually moves the needle in my business. I also make sure that my environment, like my working place, my desk, is like a place where I actually want to spend time in and actually do work that I enjoy. The next thing is to think in systems, right? And not in outcomes. Because it's a lot better to think about the input and not the output, because we can't really control the results, right? However, we can control the input and what we do every single day. And if you know that you need to do X thing on Mondays and then Y thing on Tuesdays and then a couple of other things on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's great to create a system like that and not just wing it, right? So you can have a simple calendar. I write down exactly what I'm going to do every single day, and I try to create systems around it. In the beginning, I was doing everything myself, but now I have some people working under me and we can create systems around things. So basically creating systems and not trying to focus on this goal and outcome thing all the time, which basically means that you're not doing anything. Just focus on the input and create systems around those inputs. And then the third and the final thing on this topic that I wanted to talk about is to make decisions like you're already successful. You should still have a long-term goal where you want to go to, right? And you can also kind of start to live into that character then. So instead of taking decisions as where you are right now, try to live in this future thing where you want to go to and then take decisions that are in line with that. For example, in my case, I'm about to move to the US now. I'm closing down my Swedish business. I'm doing all of these things. So all of the decisions that I take right now is for me being in the US. The teams, the structure, going more into organic content like this. All of the decisions that I take right now and the systems that I build are based on this dream outcome that I have in the future. Mindset shift number two is that success loves speed, but not in the way that you think. Because most people think that they need to work harder and longer, but I discovered that rapid decision making and action, even if it's messy, was the real secret to my growth. So the first thing on this topic is to make faster decisions, even with uncertainty. And I know there's a saying that, plan your work and then work your plan. And I've also heard this thing from Henry Ford. He said take decisions quickly and change them slowly, instead of taking decisions slowly and changing them quickly. So making fast decisions and just get going is something that I had to learn, because when I was younger, I felt like I had to know everything before we even got started. For example, when we were doing school projects, right? And we were doing a group setting thing, I was always the guy who was okay, let's figure this all out now. It's a 4-week project. Let's know where we're right now, where we're going to end, and exactly how we're going to get there. And then there was always somebody in the group who was I'm just going to go and just do something. Let's just start and figure it out along the way. And I always hated that. But what I've learned on this entrepreneurial journey is that just take a decision, get started, and if that's not the right decision, it's fine, because then most likely you're going to figure out what the right decision is later. The next thing also is that perfection kills progress. So just take imperfect action. So if you think that you need to have the perfect plan and the perfect setup and all of these perfect things before you get started, it's just gonna kill the progress, right? So it's a lot better to just get started, take action, and then you figure it out. For example, when I quit my job and when I was 25 or I was working these normal day jobs, I knew that I wanted to do something online. So I was I don't know what I want to do online, but I'm just gonna start coding. Coding seems cool, so let's learn that. So I jumped on a school and I started to learn coding. Turns out out that I actually hated coding. It wasn't for me at all. I didn't like it at all. But from that, I figured out what I really wanted to do, which was basically online marketing. I started to learn about like affiliate marketing, all of these things. So by just taking a decision, jumping into it and getting started, even if that thing is not the right thing, I still found the right thing from that wrong thing, if that makes sense. And then the third and the final thing I want to talk about on this topic is to learn how to pivot before it's too late. Because in business and in life, if we take rapid decisions, again, most of the time, we don't take the right decisions. And that's great, and that's perfect. But we also then need to learn that if we took like a wrong turn, and then we need to learn how to pivot before it's actually too late. And I make it sound like this is a huge thing and you're gonna make it or break it, or like basically fail in everything if you don't learn how to pivot. But you come to a point where you kind of learn when you need to change something. This is not working as good, or I'm missing something. So it's super important to take decisions quickly, because success loves speed, as mentioned, but also then learn how to pivot when you don't take the right decisions. And then the third and the final mindset shift that I made was to leverage the invisible work, because the most successful work you do is stuff that no one is going to see. It's basically your thoughts, your beliefs, and mental rehearsals. So this is what separates like real high earners from basically everyone else. So here's the first thing I want to talk about this then, and that is to rewire your mindset before you start rewiring your business. Because I've learned from a lot of mentors by now, and some of them are a lot more successful than me. And every single time I listen to more successful people than myself, they always say that mindset is literally everything. So before you do anything else, it doesn't really matter where you are. Maybe you're just starting out, or you're already having a somewhat successful business or a very successful business. Like before we start tweaking and pushing all of the buttons in our business, right? We need to start to think it through and like rewire our mindset. Because normally if you have a messy car, you're gonna have a messy home. If you have a messy home, you'll most likely have a messy desk. If you have a messy desk, you will most likely have a messy desktop. If you have a messy desktop, most likely you will have a messy business as well. So how you do one thing is how you do everything. And mindset, your thoughts and your thinking, that basically dictates everything that you do. So before you start just changing things in your business, start to rewire your mindset first. And when I got started in business and I had no idea what to do, I read Think and Grow Rich, and that book basically changed everything for me. The second point I want to do on this is to start to visualize outcomes to make them reality. And I've heard about this for a long time, and I've been doing visualizing for a long time as well, like back and forth, because first of all, you start to live as you're already there where you want to go, right? Which is amazing. And I heard this, I don't remember exactly who it was, but I first, very early at least, I heard from a very successful entrepreneur who made like a New York Times bestseller book. And he said that he visualized his book on like this New York best time seller, blah, 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 stand in a bunch of stores. And he did that for a long time when he was writing his book, and eventually it came true. And I did actually visualizing this morning. I'm visualizing how this YouTube channel is going to grow. I'm visualizing my business. I'm visualizing the messaging that we're trying to grow out there. I'm visualizing my communities, and all of these things grow. Because what happens subconsciously is that you start to live like that. You start to like think like that. You start to take decisions as you're already there, as we talked about before. So visualization is not only super powerful, it's also extremely fun to do, because you start to trick yourself that you're already there. And then the third and final thing on this topic that I want to talk about is to control your environment, to control your result. And I already touched upon this a little bit just previously, but being in an environment that you enjoy has a huge difference. For example, last week I went together with my videographer, Aaron, and we were gonna shoot content, right? And we're gonna record B-roll, and we also had to like kickstart this entire content thing that we're doing right now. And instead of just spending time in this apartment where I'm always spending my time, which I love, it's great, we just decided to go to another place. So we went to southern Sweden. We rented this beautiful home just by the beach. We had a new environment, a super nice environment. It was basically just a house and the beach, and we could sit there, we can spend time. The sun was rising above the ocean and setting just above the other side of the ocean. So we had like sun every single day, which is like pretty unique this time of the year in Sweden. So by just like changing your environment, you can control your results. If you're in an environment that you don't enjoy, most likely you'll produce pretty bad work. But if you're in an environment that you actually enjoy a lot, most of the time you'll produce a lot better results in your business and or in whatever endeavor that you're in right now. So those are basically the 3 mindset shifts that I made. So just to quickly to recap, right? Stop obsessing over goals and start building systems instead. Embrace speed by taking action and not waiting for perfection. And then also focus on the invisible work that shapes your reality. And if you want to learn exactly how I scaled my business from zero to over $300,000 per month, then what you can do is that you can check out my free course that I have, and you will find a link to that in the description below. And it basically covers everything that I do on YouTube and building online courses step by step, click by click. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to like it, subscribe, drop a comment down below as well, and also share your biggest takeaway from this video, and I will make sure to read it and hopefully reply to as many as I can. And I will see you in the next video. Let's go.